So what was your source of information as you were growing up?
Well, it was a school. They used to teach in English and Spanish, and they always told that we speak Spanish, we got to learn English, and the English came from the United States. And we were under at the time, we had a governor that was assigned by the U.S. government to run the island. So we were well informed. Most of our books were George Washington and everybody else that you could think of.
And other than your immediate siblings, was there one or two extended family members who were especially close to you while growing up in Puerto Rico?
In Puerto Rico, they used to say the person is a person, but the village is the one who molds the person. And that's how the hometown was a very close town. We knew everybody in town. And my family, I choose them. They were the ones who treated me the best.
Yeah.
So the extended family was all in the city, in the same town. Mm-hmm. So the whole town was like a family affair. Everybody knew everybody. We went every place we went. You were afraid to do something because if you do something, you know somebody did the same day. They have a Spanish expression called a small town big bell. There's pueblo pequeño, campana grande. That means the town is small, but the bell is huge. The bell, when the bell rings, like in the church, everybody hears it.
What would you describe your relationship that you had with your dad growing up?
My mother was the one who was the head of the house. Mm-hmm. She ran the whole family, and she was better suited for it. Mm-hmm. But my father was always trying to make a buck or trying to do something for our brethren. But yeah, he also trusted the town that we didn't have nothing to worry about because nothing happened in town. So the distance between my mother and my father is because my father was never home. My mother was the one that took care of us. So. Yeah, not close. The closest was with the mother, not with the father.
And it sounds like you and your brother, Uncle Rennie, to me, he owes you his life on at least two occasions where you saved him from drowning. Was there anybody that you would say that you owe your life to, either literally or figuratively?
The only one thing is one time when I was in the town of Aguadilla, I was in the fourth grade, and I went to a baseball game, and when the baseball game ended, I went through an exit where it was jam-packed with people. I was only 9 years old, and I was being squeezed by the people, squeezed to the point that I couldn't move much, and I was moving out, and halfway through the tunnel, the umpire's room opened the door, and one of them saw me and pulled me into the room. Mm. And that was a life-saving, I think, because I was panicking.
Yeah.
And that's in my memoirs.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, I do recall that story. It sounds similar to a story you told when you were in New York City and you got moved from one subway train to another, huh?
I was an adult then, but I felt squeezed. Yeah, I was tiptoeing on the floor of the subway.
And as far as your early childhood memories, what do you cherish most when you think back of your 18 years in Puerto Rico?
When I was a kid, what I liked the most was to go to the river to go swimming and fishing, and mainly swimming because the river was right there, and we used to go there all the time with all our friends. So most of the time was the river, and then when later on, when I got older, it was sports.
At what age did you start realizing that life on the mainland of the United States was a destination for you?
We had to do that because we were poor. We didn't have any way of income. Didn't have any of my father's family. We were the poorest, probably, of all of them. Because all the others were better off. When time came, when I graduated from high school, I passed the test for the university because I gave it to all the high schools in Puerto Rico get a university test, and I passed the test, and I could go to college. The same year, all my friends were going to college, and I went to work at the store, the sports shop, the store that I used to go to work at, and they weren't paying much, and I figured that wasn't much. Then my father had the opportunity to move to the States with my uncle for veterans, and that's when everything started. They put the wheels in motion for us, for the whole family.
As you journeyed to the mainland from Puerto Rico, you had to fly from San Juan to Miami, then Miami to Newark, New Jersey. Kind of a scary and exciting time, being you were only 18 years old. What feelings were going through your mind on that trip, do on the airplane to pass the time?
Just observing the people in the airplane. I just got on the plane. I just trusted the Lord and got on the plane because I was even afraid to fly. I didn't even know what to. That was my first airplane flight.
And you said it was like a DC-8 or something like that, a World War II?
World War II vintage that the people were buying to make money. You know, all the people, the investors, I guess, they were fixing them to make the airlines on those days. And there was everybody had airplanes. You know, so the prices were low because of that. The time went by, it didn't go too fast, but I wasn't going to give up my seat.
Yeah, you did tell a story about that. So it was basically a standing room only flight. There was some
people in standing room in the plane. They sold too many tickets.
That's amazing.
That would have been dangerous too, but most of them they didn't have much luggage, so they figured that the overweight was the standing people were just like extra luggage.
Yeah, that's a good point. That would have been
dangerous.
Yeah. You said also in your memoirs that you always understood that you were of the Roman Catholic Christian faith, and it was some of your relatives, in particular your Aunt Tia Clota, who was instrumental in your baptism and your first Holy Communion. What is it about your faith that keeps you so devout after all these years?
Well, when I was a kid, I always thought I was a Catholic because all my family was Catholic. They all went to church. They all did the same things. I did the same things. I followed them. I watched. And I always felt like there was a God and there was a Lord. And I felt like we depended on Him, on the Lord for survival and for godliness of whatever. So...
Yeah, and you certainly reference God a lot in many areas in your memoirs too, which is certainly inspiring. And so, when I was growing up, I witnessed the relationship that you had with your immediate siblings, and it seemed to me that you had a very amiable and close relationship with them. What would you attribute as the key to maintaining a relationship with your family, even as you grew older and moved away from each other?
Well, I think we were responsible for each other. I think everybody had to look after each other because otherwise we would have been miserable. We always tried to help each other out. Since we didn't have much, we had to depend on each other. And that mainly was that we have to survive, and we survive by group.
Right.
Not one person.
Is it that village mentality again carried over throughout your whole life, at least with your immediate family?
The mother too, yeah.
Yeah, and your mom too. You move into the States, you move into New York, and then you meet Mom shortly after that. And then within a year you were married. What was it about Mom that attracted you to her so much that you were married within a year?
Well, when I was in the Navy, I was already in the Navy about 3 years when I met her. And I told her once that most of the times when I find a nice girl, she's already married or taken. And she was a nice girl and she wasn't married, she wasn't taken.
So you didn't want to wait.
Yeah, right.
Makes perfect sense to me. So. Sports obviously has been a huge and important part of your life. What was it about sports that you were so drawn to?
Well, I believe that sports was the best thing to do because it kept me out of mischievous. My friends were into sport and they played basketball, baseball, ping pong, anything. And I had a bunch of friends that they were real nice, and we all did the same thing. And that was we didn't go into drugs or smoking or drinking or anything like that, because that's what the motto of those kids were, healthy, Even though I didn't have a penny, but.
Did you have aspirations as a young boy to play professional sports when you were older?
Oh yeah. I love baseball, and I wanted to play. But somebody said one time, "You're going to be a good ball player when you grow up." I never grew up. I really didn't develop my skill there until I was in the military. Because then I learned about playing ball without even. We didn't have the right coach there, the right people who knew how to hit and everything.
You gave tribute to Louis V. Romanelli in your memoirs. He was one person, a fellow naval enlisted man who paid the ultimate price in service to our country. How would you describe your brief relationship with him? Because you met him on your way to Vietnam, right? So
No, I met him at boot camp. At Marine training.
Okay.
When we all the people that you see in the Marine training, they're all corpsmen. Everybody was a corpsman. They just trained the corpsmen to go with the Marines. When I met him at the training center where we were,
it was in California, right?
California, Camp Pendleton Valley, California.
Mm-hmm.
I met him there, and I found out we had something in common right away, because he was Catholic, I was Catholic. We went to church together. Mm-hmm. And that's where the relationship started. And then after, we talk every day, we share comments or whatever, and we even studied together. But when the training was over, we were going to, we had 5 days after the training over before we report to Travis Air Force Base in California. Mm-hmm. We had we had a talk. He said, "Okay." He said, "Where are you gonna go?" And I said, "Well, let's go and maybe just see Disneyland or
do some sightseeing,
or something, just to kill 5 days on the way to Travis." And he said, "No, I'm going home." He said, "What?" I said, "I'm going home because I'm going to visit my family. I don't know if I'm coming back." So I said, "Oh." So that put a bug in my ear. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Well, if you're going home, and I'm all by myself here, and we're going to go somewhere, I'm going home too." Mm-hmm. So I did go home and say goodbye all over again, and then went to Travis. And I met him at Travis again. And then when we came back to Okinawa, then we flew to Okinawa from Travis. And Okinawa, we were in the barracks where they waiting for transfer to Vietnam. So we went to lunch together, or meals or whatever over there. Also, when the time came for us to go, we spent maybe a week or two over there, no more than a week. We were transferred from there to the mainland, to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. So he was transferred to a unit that had Marines, and I was transferred to another unit, which was aboard ship with the Marines. Mm-hmm. So we went to different places. He chose to go he volunteered to go to the village to take care of the people, the sick people, all the Vietnamese, and the people.
And then you said, I guess at some point, the village was ambushed, and he ended up paying the ultimate price. Huh?
You know that little story there that I sent you. There's a little bit more information there.
Yeah.
You might even read it. Mm-hmm.
So, the very, very sad, very, very sad and moving story. But he sounds like he was a really interesting and faithful individual. So
yeah, he told me. He told me also. I don't know if we're coming back, But if I don't come back, I know my kids will get a free education because they got that's the military rule.
Mm-hmm. So
all the kids would go to college for free.
So he really was an unselfish individual. Sounds like to say something like that. Certainly. So
I think he had a feeling. I don't know.
Yeah, a premonition or something. Yeah.
Premonition. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So then you come back, you get out of the Navy in 1970, and of all the places that you've...
71.
In 71, of all the places that you've lived after you got out of the Navy, what is your... what's one of your favorite places or that you've lived after the Navy?
Well, I really didn't know which way to go. I wanted to go to the West Coast. Rosin won the West Coast because she said she didn't believe in earthquakes.
She was afraid of the earthquakes.
Yes, she didn't. So we went all the way up to Arizona, and then and I said, we can we go to California? And she said no. So I had to back up from California and come back and backstep. We had been in El Paso before, so we stayed in El Paso instead. But I had another little story too. But there's a few stories that I could tell you. On the way to California, and she knew I was trying to convince her to go to California. I had a young fellow that was with me in Vietnam, and his father had a big trucking company. You know, like you told me about Willie one time.
Yeah.
Well, his father was the owner of a big trucking company in L.A. And he said, "You go to California, I'll take care of you." He told me that, you know, and he gave me his address and everything else. But Rose didn't want to go, so I would have had a job for sure. You know?
Yeah. Oh well.
But anyway, that was one of the things. But anyway, we decided to backtrack to El Paso, and we stayed in El Paso. El Paso wasn't the best city in the world, but it was the most affordable city for us because we had all the facilities there. We had the hospitals, the commissary, the exchange. We didn't make much money. There wasn't much to offer, but he had there was a chance that we could do better there.
And yeah, and I certainly lived 10 years of my life there and have some fond memories of El Paso.
It was good to raise a family there, that's all.
Yeah. So.
And since the cost wasn't much, the cost of living wasn't too bad, so I figured I would just stay here. But not that was my choice.
Right.
It was I probably enjoyed my later on after I graduated from school, from college. The Fort Worth area was better. Even the Keller district was better.
Right. Getting back to El Paso, which actually feeds into the next question that I have here, and that education was certainly important to you. And after 20 years in the Navy, you went back to college at UT El Paso, the community college in UT El Paso. You earned 2 degrees, one in your mid-40s and one again in your mid-50s. What inspired you to never stop learning, and why was formal education so important to you?
Well, when I was a kid in Puerto Rico, and when I graduated from high school, I passed the test to go to college, but I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford even the bus fare to the college. No, I couldn't do anything like that. So I always felt like I was a frustrated college student. The frustrated wanted to be what I couldn't be. I couldn't get my education. All my friends were there, and I was nothing there. You know, I left behind. So it was always in my mind. So when I started to study in El Paso, which makes it easier because I was making $400 a month, and then I found out that the GI Bill was paying over $24.25 or something like that to go to college. I said, hey, I'm going to college.
Yeah, so, that made sense.
so that made it easier for me. Rose went to work to help me out a little bit, and I did good there. So I felt good. I'm first at community college. I took all the remedial courses that I haven't had in years. I had a bunch of remedial courses at the community college before I even got my associate of arts. And then I went to the UTEP, and UTEP I did good. Finished with a 3.2.
Excellent. It's better, yeah. Better than I can ever say. 2-0 go is my motto, but that's another story.
Then it was good. Then when I went after so many years, when I graduated in 1957, what is it? Okay. I was 47 years old when I graduated from college.
From UTEP?
From UTEP. Mm-hmm. And then when after 2 years in El Paso teaching, I moved to Fort Worth, and let me check. Make sure that I don't lose my train of thought here. I started to teach in Fort Worth, and shortly after I started I figured that after teaching there for a while, I decided to go for my master's degree. And I went to Texas Women's University to get my master's degree there. And from 1940, when I was 47 to the time I did my age, from 47 to 57, I graduated in 57 from the master's degree.
At age 57, yeah. You were 57 years old when you got your master's.
Right. So, and that was, it was a frustration that I had all the time, that I wanted to get educated. And also remember, my language wasn't the best. I had to fight and learn the language. Right. It still is a problem.
Because well, I give you a lot of credit because English is my only language, and I still have a hard time with English. So, it's like, more power to you. So,
I did all right.
I think you did. Yeah, that was excellent and very inspiring that you did go on to graduate degrees and later in life, because it's even harder. Much more with a language challenge, but just being older is harder. You mentioned Mom in your discussion too. It's been almost a year since we said goodbye to Mom after her passing, and what comes to mind now when you think about the woman who you spent 60 and a half years with? What are the thoughts that come to mind about Mom?
Well, right now I have it next to me. She's near me. I miss her. I'm feeling like I don't have too much responsibility. I don't feel like I have too much ambition. But I still like to do little things. The motivation was taken out of me. Or whatever. So.
But she inspired you all those years, it sounds like. So.
Oh yeah, she always stood by me. Even we had a little spackles here and there.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but she was supportive, and at the end she was getting sick, and she was different a little bit. Yeah.
But she, definitely supportive, and even when you went back to school, she went to work, and so definitely that's just a tremendous testimony to what she was. And so now you're 85, going to be 86 early in 2017. When you look back on your life, what stands out the most to you? Now, it's kind of an open-ended question, but
well, sometimes you look back and you say, if you lasted this long, and if you lived this long, and you survived through all the problems of life, you did all right.
That's a good way to look at it. Is there anything you would do all over again?
Anything I would do?
Do all over again, if you could do it again.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Would you, go back to Cuba, or would you like to live on Guantanamo Bay?
No, because I'm always been a person of I'm being a futuristic person.
So you're always looking forward. Yeah.
Future, yeah.
That's
always
a good.
Looking forward to the future.
That's a good answer. So I agree. And so
whatever is gone is gone.
Yeah. So on a similar vein, is there anything you would do differently? If you, I guess, do you have any regrets?
Well, anything I would do differently? I don't think so. I think everything I did had problems or had good part to it, and I survived through it. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't know how to go and refix it again.
So good. I have one last question for you. And then basically this country, as a country, we just recently went through a presidential election process. And one topic that always comes up about the outgoing president and his administration is the legacy that they leave behind for future generations. In just a few words, what is your legacy that you would want to leave behind for your children, your grandchildren, and your 7 going on 8 granddaughters here? What kind of legacy would you like to leave behind for them, for everyone?
I believe that honesty and to tell the truth. That's all. Being honest with yourself and tell the truth. That's all.